My name is Jacqui Gingras, and I am ready to be your Member of Parliament in the North Okanagan-Shuswap. It's my pleasure to be sharing with you some of our positions on some very crucial aspects of interest to the people that I speak with on the campaign trail. This video is an opportunity for me to delve deeply into some of these topics so that you can be very well informed when you go to the polling station on October the 19th. Our relationship with Indigenous peoples is one of the most important part of the work that we're doing here in this local community. I've had the opportunity to meet with 5 of the local chiefs and councils. It's very important to me, in a matter of principle, that we're able to forge a nation-to-nation relationship with First Peoples. This will help benefit us in terms of economic development, in terms of making sure that all children have the kind of early learning environments that they need to be successful and to be part of a thriving, resilient community. It's also very important that we stand in solidarity with Indigenous peoples to protect our land, our air, and our water. Tom Mulcair and the NDP has been very specific about his relationship with Indigenous people. There is no other group that Tom Mulcair has met with more often than Indigenous people in Canada. And this fits very well. It's very congruent with my own beliefs and practices. I've worked closely with chiefs and councils and elders on our 5 bands here in the North Okanagan-Shuswap to make sure that I get to know what the issues are for them and that they get to know a little bit about me and are reassured by my commitment to work very closely in a nation-to-nation partnership with Indigenous peoples. And also, very importantly, yesterday we honored the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls with a Stolen Sisters Vigil. I spoke emphatically about how we absolutely must have an inquiry into the missing and murdered Indigenous women. Tom Mulcair has promised that within 100 days of forming government, we will hold an inquiry. And this will allow us to move forward in finding out what's happened to these women, move forward in acknowledging that these women rightfully belong in communities, should feel safe, making sure that we uphold the Truth and Reconciliation Commission recommendations. These are all points that are absolutely important for me to uphold in our relationship with Indigenous people. It is very important to me when I speak with seniors to reassure them that they will be able to retire with dignity. For too long now, the Conservatives and the Liberals have cut and cut and cut. Not only cutting seniors' pensions, but cutting their ability to find affordable housing, making sure that the prescription medications are affordable and accessible, making sure that seniors can live at home, retire with dignity, but also to receive home care. And to retire with access to home care. Right now it's very expensive. What we're seeing right now with seniors is that their health care needs are threatened by the massive cuts to the federal transfer payment taxes. And so what we need to do is to make sure that those payments are reinstated so that provinces can provide universal health care. And what we fought so hard for, what seniors have fought so hard for. We want to make sure that their pensions are protected. We also are very aware, after having conversations with support systems, family or home care workers or long-term care workers, that people are at high risk for burning out in providing high levels of care. And so we need to make sure that when we increase funding for community health centers, when we increase funding for healthcare professionals, we make sure that those healthcare professionals are taken care of, and then they can provide the care that we know all seniors deserve. Our veterans have served proudly for our country, and it's very important that when they return to civilian life, that they have the supports necessary to make that transition peacefully, effortlessly. Right now, veterans are struggling. Many veterans are struggling with post-traumatic stress. We need to make sure that the services are available for veterans to support their mental health needs as well as their families. And that's our first commitment. We will reopen shuttered veterans offices and make sure that we have the health care appropriate to help insist and ensure that their transition to civilian life is seamless. The CBC is something of vital importance to knitting our small rural communities together. People have come to rely on excellent programming from the CBC, and that's been threatened with cuts to programming. It's been threatened with cuts to funding, but it's also been threatened by something a little bit more insidious, and that is people who are overseeing the programming at CBC that have direct links to the Conservative Party. So what the NDP will do is we'll make sure that the CBC has adequate funding, and we will absolutely make sure that any oversight provided to the CBC is provided at arm's length from any political party. During my time on the campaign trail, I've had many amazing experiences getting to know people in the arts community locally here. And what they tell me time and time again is that funding is very difficult to come by. I know that participating in the arts has been so vitally important, not only for my children, but all families who want to get to know each other after moving to our community. And so it's very important that funding be provided to the Caravan Theatre, all theatres, music schools, so that they can engage children in learning about the arts and culture, and making sure that that learning is helping to extend into their future success. When I talk to people about the environment, I never take that conversation separately from job creation locally. One way to look at this is to think about creating jobs in renewable energy. Renewable energy is a $3 billion trade globally right now. And so what Canada is doing is they're actually being cut out of those opportunities. Locally, we could be investing some of the subsidies that go to oil and gas directly into renewable energy here. Many people who work in the oil and gas sector already could transition into the renewable energy sector. The jobs are transferable. The NDP will not only invest in research and development, but in training and apprenticeship opportunities. Even the Business Council of British Columbia recommends that the Okanagan be a place for a center of excellence in renewable energy. As someone who also lives off-grid, I feel very strongly that this technology should be made more accessible to families like yours and mine. And we need to be able to have access to these technologies and think about the difference it will not only make to local people earning locally, spending locally, but to our environment. And that's why I stand committed to job creation in renewable energy. The reality is, we don't know everything there is to know about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, but one thing that we do know is that supply management is on the table. Tom Mulcair wants to reassure Canadians that he believes in negotiating deals in a very transparent and open way. And he will not accept any deal that is negotiated in a secret, non-transparent way. So we can be assured that when we finally find out the details of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that anything that does not support Canadian sovereignty, including supply management, will be off the table. I've heard time and time again from people of all ages of their struggles with mental health and mental illness. I've actually worked myself on projects with BC Mental Health and Addictions with the Provincial Health Services Authority. These are issues that tend to be very quietly talked about or even invisible, but I know that many people are struggling with the kind of supports that are needed. One thing that Tom Mulcair and the NDP are doing are offering a $1 million mental health innovation fund that will not only help to reduce the stigma around mental illness, but will provide key research and innovation and treatment in our approach to mental illness. Too many people are struggling silently. Too many people are worried about the mental health of their children, of their seniors, of their family members. And we all have stories of people who are struggling alone, and we need to break the isolation. And this is one important aspect of our overall plan to improve healthcare and mental health care for Canadians. On October the 19th, Canadians from coast to coast to coast are going to go to the polls. This is a very important election, and I know more than ever people will be participating in their democratic right to vote. One thing I'd really like to make sure that everyone knows is that I stand committed to uphold the New Democrat pledge for electoral reform. It is so important to me that people who vote have their votes count. And with electoral reform, proportional representation specifically, we will see that. Let's make 2015 the last unfair election. Speaking of unfair elections, one topic that also comes up a lot is strategic voting. How do I know who is best positioned to defeat the Conservatives in this riding? I'm going to provide some evidence for you based on previous elections. Did you know that New Democrats have finished second in the last 4 federal elections? We've also seen that the vote share for the Greens and the Liberals decrease from 2008 to 2011. In 2011, New Democrats garnered 5,000 more votes than the Greens and the Liberals combined. We know that if you're voting to get rid of the Conservatives, New Democrats are your best choice. We also know that we offer the values in our platform that are important to Canadians. This I've heard in conversations time and time again. My name is Jacqui Gingras. On October 19th, I ask for your vote. A vote for me is a vote for what you value. It's a vote for improving Canada. It's time. It's time to rebuild our country.